Yeah, in this session, typically, this is one of the newest topics that has been introduced as a part of foundations of risk management. One of the longest chapters also, where so much of introduction is given in terms of risk taking from a corporate governance standpoint. So some of the things we might have covered as a part of other subjects, because this is more of an introduction kind of a chapter. But quickly going through whatever we have covered, so it has introduced risk as the uncertainty of occurrence of any event. And anytime when we are taking risk, there are two aspects to be seen. There is an opportunity as well as a danger. So sometimes when I'm taking a risk, probably there could be a positive side in terms of the results being more profitable. So sometimes what happens is, if I'm taking more and more of reduced risk, it may very well result in compromising on the profits also. So a calculated risk between the calculated risk need to be taken, so that not too much on the higher side or not too much on the profits need to be compromised. So just to look at it, we always look at risk from multiple dimensions, one being the market risk, then the liquidity, then the credit and operations. So anything that is resulting because of decline in prices or exchange rates, any of these markets, or stock prices or commodity prices or interest rates, any, because of the changes of any of these markets, stock market, bond markets, commodity markets, or exchange rate markets, because of changes in any of these aspects, if the company is incurring losses, all those things we are categorizing as a part of the market risk. And the way we express the market risk can be in absolute terms or even the relative terms. When I say absolute, probably in terms of standard deviation, saying 10%, 10% standard deviation, or probably beta equal to 1.2. These are some of the absolute measures of market risk. Whereas when I'm saying relative, it is more in terms of this particular security is more riskier than the market or something like that. Then when we talk about liquidity, it's more to do with inability to close a position at a fair value. Probably I'm selling my property at a much lesser price because I'm not able to find absolute buyers in a quick span of time. I'm forced to sell out at a much cheaper price. That is what is contributing to the liquidity risk. And when we talk about the credit risk, it is more because of the default by a counterparty, or it could be because of downgrading of the ratings. We have seen in the credit risk chapter also, where it could be because of default, or it could be because of downgrade, or it could be because of a change in the spread. So any loss the company is incurring, or the investments are incurring because of these aspects, we attribute them to the credit risk. And finally, the ops risk, generally more because of the either people or processes or even systems. All these things, any kind of loss the company or an individual is incurring because of all these fraud or human errors or all these things, we are classifying them as a part of operations risk. So just looking at each of these things in detail, whenever we talk about the market risk, when we talk in absolute terms, it is primarily in terms of standard deviation or beta. But when we talk about in relative terms, we can always link it with a benchmark. And the other way we classify the market risk is either directional or non-directional. See, suppose when we say a directional risk, probably if the stock price falls, my loss increases. Or if the interest rate falls, probably my loss increases. Some kind of a direction. If the original underlying either increases or falls, the loss or the profit increases or decreases. So there is a kind of directionality in terms of the loss. Whereas in some kind of cases, the risk is completely non-directional, like probably an acquisition happening. The stock price can either go up or go down. So you don't know in which direction. Probably it's like if we are talking about directional, there is a kind of a linear exposure. When something goes down, probably my portfolio value will go down drastically. But when I say non-directional, I don't know whether it will go up or go down, but there is an uncertainty in that. So any of the economic variables, suppose interest rates are decreased, I don't know how the market will react, how the stock price will react to that particular situation. In those cases, we are treating those kind of variables or those kind of risks where increase or decrease can come up. We are attributing it to the non-directional risk. And there is also one term which is basis risk, which we have covered earlier, especially in terms of hedging. When I'm hedging my asset, hedging my portfolio using an asset A,